Well, so we have to do the news. Lady in Red. Yeah.
Like
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Great, great.
What's today's date again?
41st of January.
Is it? Yeah.
25th.
Another
It's
79
running so
days
fast.
to go.
We have 8 more days in January.
Really? 8 more than a week still.
Are you still broke?
Oh yeah.
Or you're broken?
I'm shattered. If that is a level of broke that you recognize. This morning I was talking about when you are so broke that you envy those who can afford trotro. That's broke.
Oh, seriously? Nah, no one believes you right now.
Why not?
Definitely don't believe you.
not?
The guy is lying.
Broke ain't no joke, yo.
Yeah, but you can actually park your car if you can buy full and just jump onto a trotro.
That's if you can afford.
You're
the
even
trotro.
lucky. You come to work really early, so you know you don't have to you don't have to worry about traffic.
And with where he stays, so when he connects to the motor,
and then you can get the front seats as well. You can sit by the driver.
But where am I getting,
actually, the way
where am I getting the money
the way
for
Kojo
trotro?
behaves, I think that when he takes trotro, will be a good way to have a more meaningful impact in society, because he can then advise trotro driver to be using Google Maps. You know. Oh, what's wrong with you? This guy, are you correct? No, all the wrong here. Hello, Mashagbo. You teach at Vaco Secondary alongside your wife, Juliet. Good morning to all of you. I hope you're having some good time.
What it must be like to work with your spouse. You know,
yeah, and I know somebody who works,
public service or
who works
private?
with his spouse.
I mean, I'm talking about
Salif
the fact that you are spending all your
good
time.
morning. We'll work with your spouse.
Well, but it should be normal. It should be okay.
Spend your entire day. So you're at home with them, then you're at work with them, then you're back at home with them, like constantly with them.
You can't do that.
I'm thinking that
But when you're working, you don't really talk.
Doesn't make a difference. They are there. You are still there with them.
But
So
what will
you
you
feel
be
you're
doing
being
that
watched?
you'll be worried about?
No,
That
not
if your wife
being
is
watched.
around.
Now, are you a terror suspect? No, but it's the whole idea of. So when you meet, what will you even have to talk about? Because the things that happen during your day, she was there. She saw them too. So like, what do you have to discuss? What do you have to talk about?
You could be in the same organization, but not in the same department. The same working environment.
But you're still
not the
working
same.
together.
Yeah, in a way.
So you gossip, you talk about the little things that we all do every day, and then when you get home, you talk about the kids.
I think it would be great working with your spouse, so that if somebody wants to make a pass at either of you, the person will know that look, the husband or wife is around. Charlie, it's
Do you think that actually stops guys?
I think so.
Somebody who has decided to make a pass at a married person.
I think so.
If you've decided that you're going to make a pass at a married person,
I think so.
No, but if my husband was around, at least it would deter. Few people.
Maybe not people like you, but but it would deter. I think mostly like I would not make a pass at Helen, for example.
I think we should do the newspapers right now. Yeah, let's agree on.
Associate myself.
Can we agree on
from
that?
these comments?
What comment did I make?
Yo, let's go. Let's look at the
example.
newspapers. I have the Daily Statesman, the Daily Dispatch, and the Ghanaian Times. What
I have
you
the
got?
Newsday. I won't do the Newsday. I have the Independent. The New Thursday Independent, and then the Daily Guide.
Well, I'll do the Daily Graphic, the Business Finder, and the Newsday.
All right then.
Yeah.
So let me start. I'll do the Statesman first. Banner headline: Dufour father, son, and Isiama on the run, with a question mark at the end of that. I wonder why they say so, but they say police pursue Unibank duo and ex-governor over sector crisis. Details are in the pages. It doesn't say which page, but page 2. So I'll look them up for you later. Air Force investigates cause of jet overrun. Let my vote count. Let's respect EC's decision on voters register. That's the position of Let My Vote Count Alliance. Daily Dispatch, real quick. MP's allegation against regional minister. You only go to Navrongo to drink beer. Tension as NPP primary nears. And we see here the picture of the Upper East Regional Minister, Ms. Paulina Abayage. I've met her when we went on Ghana Grant.
She's contesting that seat? Or it's been rumored.
She came from Italy, right? She
Yes,
was the
yeah,
ambassador.
she was the ambassador.
Yeah, wait, because I remember one of you had a conversation. Was it you?
Yes.
Okay.
So Mr. Kofi Ada, MP for Nabrongo Central, is the one who is making this accusation at the regional minister that she only goes
to Nabrongo to drink beer.
Well, we have some friends in Nabrongo. Let's say good morning to Senyala Castro. He loves the show, watches it every morning. Good morning, Castro. Keep a lookout for your regional minister when she visits.
But she's a great woman as well, and the gentleman is also a great man. So I don't know why.
An interesting.
I'm sure this is within a certain context.
Yes, I think it's been speculated that she wants to. That she wants to contest that seat.
It's a very strong accusation.
But you know, listen, if you want to interact with your people, you can meet them at several places. I'm not quickly jumping to the conclusion here.
Let's be fair, let's be clear. He's not saying that you what's the word I'm looking for? He's not saying
beer
that
with your constituents.
He says the only reason why you come there is to drink beer, not to be with your constituents. And that's a strong accusation, you know?
Yeah, I get it. On the face of it, I want to appreciate the context within which he said that.
I'll give you details. It's on page 2. I'll read it for you later.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
You're ever so welcome. Will the 40-member Forex Committee use...
Yes.
Will the 40-member Forex Committee use Veep's 2014 lecture? So yesterday I had a chance to speak to one of the members.
Franklin Kujo.
Franklin Kujo. We'll bring you what he said later.
And he also addresses all the things that people have been saying about the committee. And
yes, he does actually. He acknowledges the fact that in fact, it is a low-hanging fruit for people who want to ridicule government, you know.
Okay. Is it because he's a member of the committee?
But no, he's admitting that that's the fact. People will find it easy to ridicule them.
Okay.
Yeah. But he says a lot more than that, though. So stay tuned for that later on the show. Also in the Ghanaian Times this morning, that's the last paper I'll do.
He indicts the committee itself.
You can't handle
I'll wait.
You can't handle the suspense.
I'll wait for it. Salifu Combat. Good morning.
I think you should have gone with him.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
What has Salifu Combat got to do with Franklin Kujo and the committee?
I thought they were linked. Economy.
Kujo, consider why.
All right, Guardian Times next. And robbers gunned down cop. This is no laughing matter at all. Robbers gunned down cop and 4 others injured. Police posts 10,000 Ghana cedi bounty. That's a serious matter. Okay, Armed Forces institutes investigation into aircraft accident. Some of these aircraft are very old. Let's be real here. Some of them are very old. Some of them were manufactured decades ago. And this is what we are using to protect our borders and so forth. Selon Brantier makes the interesting point that while we are using old aircraft to protect our borders, aircraft that we bought decades ago, biometric machines that we bought just a few years ago, we are scrapping them to buy new ones. Interesting. All right.
That's linked to power, you see.
Yeah, well. Also on the front page, Oforis Sapong and others honored for contribution to national development. Angry youth on rampage in Ho, and Ghana enhances surveillance following outbreak of coronavirus infection in China. We'll talk a bit about that today later, won't we? Okay, Environmental Sanitation Task Force inaugurated in Accra, and group demonstrates against mining of bauxite in Atewa Forest. This is a matter that has been going on for a while, isn't it?
Let's do the Daily Guide. It has on the front page, UT beige bosses cases take shape. Ghana Armed Forces aircraft overruns apron. NDC blows over 9 billion Ghana cedis on Kumasi demo. Good news for locally refined gold. Policeman killed by robbers. In the center spread where the story says SOGOG, Ghana and acronyms. SOGOG challenges Stacey Amwatin's cervical cancer claims, and SOGOG is
Society of Gynecological and
Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Ghana. I mean, that's what it means. I think that would have been better than SOGOG. Okay, government also seals a 5-year deal.
But that's a headline. They couldn't have just,
cool. Why would that be better than Sogog?
5-year deal to host Afro Nation, and Ghana among Africa's fastest growing economies still were in the running. That's a good one. Meanwhile, the GCB is to launch what they call a mobile wallet service. And they are saying it's the industry's first mobile wallet service. Okay. The last paper I have, the New Independent, compilation of new register. Group calls NDC's bluff, says nothing will stand in EC's way. It will happen, according to the story.
It will happen, Kanwa.
According to the story, it's in the story. I read the story. PAC chair goes wild as he causes arrest of 2 over forgery, perjury, and contradiction. All these stories and others are on the front page of the New Independent. Okay.
All right, let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page, new voters register compilation. EC sets April 18. Exercise to last till end of May. GES revises promotion process for staff. You have to go through, according to details of this one, an aptitude test. And last year they had over 40,000 persons writing because you were due for promotions. And they're saying now you have to go through a certain aptitude test. This is to make the process fair, transparent, and then based on competence. So you're going to face a panel, and then you go through a certain test. You can read details of that in the Daily Graphic as well. Roberts Kill Cop IGP visits crime scene. The late Lance Corporal Kinsley Kofi Boahen. There's a picture of him on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. In the center spread of the paper, Tamale to host 24th Ghana International Trade Fair. Also, Center to Improve Border Security inaugurated. And with this particular center, the fusion center they call it, so that we can have institutions communicate and not, have their separate information and work on it separately as agencies of the states. This was supposed to have been done by the National Security Minister. I know a lot of us were looking forward to his appearance, but the Defense Minister did that on his behalf. All right, also University of Education Winneba, Millennium Promise Alliance sign MOU to develop curriculum on SDGs. Is also in the center spread of the paper. On the back page, Assembly directs pedestrians to use Medina Adenta Highway footbridges. So 5 out of the 6 footbridges on the stretch have been completed and open for public use. According to the Daily Graphic, they observed that people were using the bridges at the West African Senior High School, the SDA Junction, the EP Church, while the pedestrians barely used the footbridge at Redco. Though the use of the bridge had also improved at the Zongo Junction, most pedestrians prefer to use the crossing at the intersection instead of the bridge, a situation which has forced the Assembly to deploy guards. So we have to change our attitudes, an attitudinal thing, and we have to. So if you look at the picture on the back page of the paper, it will tell you, it paints a certain picture. Let's go back to the back page of the paper. So this man was walking instead of using the footbridge, and then you see a guard directing him. And I hope that they're able to ask people to go back and use the footbridge. Once we keep doing that, they'll get it and they'll do the right thing. Just down below the story on the back page of the paper is something that's developing on the Graphic Road. There are huge companies on the Graphic Road. I guess if they were not paying their taxes, they would not be allowed to operate, like we would hear it. But there's a refuse dump that's just coming up right in front of this beautiful road, in the middle of the road. The Graphic is putting the spotlight on it. But why should this happen? Why should this continue to happen? Why haven't authorities noticed it to stop it? That's the picture on the back page of the paper. It says refuse dump springs up on the Graphic Road. Right there. People are using the place as a refuse dump. All right, let's go to the Business Finder newspaper. Take advantage of after AGI rallies businesses. On energy, 6 institutions to save over 2 million Ghana cedis yearly. SEC leaves mutual fund. Unit trust investors in limbo. There is more trust in banking sector after reforms. That's the GCB boss saying that. And then, of course, there's a summary of the market on in the paper today: consumer price inflation, interest rates, Ghana Stock Exchange, the currencies. US dollar now 5.5369. It's more than this, right?
The thing is.
Oh, this is selling or buying.
Buying, selling. Depends on which of the trading divide you are. The thing is, this is what the banks are trading with. But when you go to the banks, you know, get them in due time. So for go black market. So there's a black market as well. But the thing is also the black market, who gives them is the banks.
That's part of the...
So who is at the banks, or who are in the banks giving all these to the black market people?
According to Franklin Kujo, that's part of the work that this committee is supposed to do. They are supposed to look into this and find out.
And the Bank of Ghana does what?
Pardon?
And the Bank of Ghana is supposed to do what?
Pardon?
And their recommendations will go to the Ministry of Finance or the Bank of Ghana.
I thought the Bank of Ghana is supposed to do that work. Is it not forex,
these are
monetary
all
policy?
questions I asked yesterday.
Okay, I'll look
we'll
for
hear the answers.
Interesting to hear what
We'll
you
hear the
have to
answers
say.
later on the show. Yeah?
Oh,
Until then,
also
pardon?
what Mr. Pianin said, what Mr. Yamsing had to say.
Yeah.
That was reported. Yeah.
Now, actually, well, according to Franklin Kujo, he was advised by many people not to participate,
Not to accept
join.
the-
Yes, yeah. In fact, he told me off air, but I'm sure he doesn't mind me repeating as long as I don't mention names, that some people actually called him and said, look, before we start insulting them, remove yourself.
Does he regret, though?
Oh no, I don't.
A view of all the...
He's been defending. I think he's the only last man standing defending the work.
But has he spoken about it anywhere? The 40
Because, you
member
know, I
committee.
thought you
This is
guys
the
spoke
first
to him
time,
and then he apparently didn't
Yeah,
speak.
when we spoke to him on another issue, he didn't want to touch on this.
He formally made
So,
some statement on Facebook. But
I actually, he took some convincing to get him to actually speak on this.
Mm.
But then in the end, he was happy to do so because, I mean, it's not like they have sworn oaths or anything like that. You know, and it's good to have somebody who is not a direct employee of government to give us their views of what's happening.
I don't know whether I can say this about him. You know, curiously, I wouldn't have, let's say, want to be there in that position where I'll be criticized. But you know, it could be like he just wants to go and test the water and see what really will be happening with this committee. Let me just go sit inside.
It could be part
be
of
a civil society person, observe and see.
It could be part of the reason why he wants to be there.
All right, any other stories of interest?
Well, I can give you some detail on that story you wanted to.
Okay, but let me
the context on.
quickly also let me also ask
one?
the EC was asked the EC was asked to do
Pito is not
deeper
here.
stakeholder consultations, right?
Yeah.
And
Asked by who?
The eminent
Advisory committee.
exactly.
We have a lot of committees. Don't be confused. We have the FS committee, and eminent advisory committee.
I'm
Committees
talking
are
about the
many.
electoral commission, and now, you know, they've emphatically said. I think after Newsfile last Saturday, we're all clear that they're only informing us because they've taken the decision. But if you look at what they've also said now, which the Daily Graphic is reporting, they've said April 18 for the exercise, which they are still deepening consultations on. Yeah.
So perhaps they are taking the advice of the committee, but they are also keeping to a timetable.
Okay, so they're not
understand.
consulting us in bring your thoughts on board. They're consulting us in I'm informing you that this is what I am doing. Yeah.
And to be fair, that is all that the law requires them to do. Let's be fair.
Yeah, but if you
let's not forget, if the EC becomes subject to the will of the parties, it's not good for our democracy. Let's be clear about that. It's good for the EC to consult the parties. It's very good. It's necessary. In fact, when you don't, you create problems for yourself, like what we are seeing today. So it's necessary for them to consult each other to make sure that everybody is on board with everything they are doing. But in the end, they don't have to do what the party wants.
absolutely.
They don't have to do what the party instructs or requires or desires. They must stick to the law. All right. So let's give some detail on this. Tension mounts as NPP primaries near you. Only Oh, okay. I'm reading it wrong. Tension mounts as NPP primaries near. You only go to Navrongo to drink beer. Oh, it rhymes.
That's like a below the belt kind of punch.
Well, it's a punch, but let's see where it lands.
Okay.
All right. So Kofi Ada, who is aviation minister and also MP for Navrongo Central, apparently one of the competitors emerging is Madam Abayage, Tangoba Abayage, who is currently the regional minister. And Mr. Ada, and I want to read his quote so that there's no interpretation. This is his quote. My message to her is that it is not the right time for her. I've not seen her do any serious party work in Navrongo throughout all the time I've been an MP. Nana Akufo-Addo comes, she comes. They go, you go. Bawumia comes, you come. They go, you go and drink beer and go. End of quote.
So when the president visits, when the vice president visits, then she goes along with them.
Well, the undercurrent, the point is...
We're not interpreting.
Do you visit the area often? You know, sometimes those are the things that tend to...
We're not interpretive.
Yeah. But she's a nice woman. He's also a nice man. So we'll see how they slag it up.
Let's hope they don't slug.
I think they should. You know, political contest without
slugging.
Fight, yeah, it's boring.
Okay, let's just quickly run you through some of the conversations to expect on the show today. Obviously, you've heard us talk about a conversation with Franklin Kujo. Kujo Yang saying, yeah.
Yes.
We'll talk about the coronavirus infection. It spread to at least 6 countries, really scary places that we often visit even as a country. So we'll look at the measures that we've put in place so that we don't have anybody reporting of an infection in our country. We'll look at that strongly as well here on the AM show. And then remember, the roads minister, after we talked about the LECMA roads, gave a 6-month deadline or a timeline when they'll finish works on that road. That 6 months, ladies and gentlemen, ends today. So how is the picture like? What's happening? Have they fixed the LECMA roads? We will give you all the answers today on our show as well. So that's it for the review segment of our show. Remember that wherever you're traveling to today, arrive alive. That's our campaign. So stay safe, arrive alive, stay with us. We've got sports coming up right after this.